TV soap news and spoilers say that in the opulent enclave of Fairmont Crest Estates, where manicured lawns stretch like emerald carpets under the watchful eyes of wrought iron gates, life unfolds with the precision of a high-stakes chess match. This isn't just any gated community, it's a fortress of black excellence, a sanctuary built by the formidable Dupree dynasty, where fortunes are whispered about in velvet-lined drawing rooms and scandals simmer beneath crystal chandeliers. Since its premiere earlier this year on CBS, Beyond the Gates has captivated audiences with its razor-sharp blend of glamour, betrayal, and unrelenting family feuds. At the heart of this soapy maelstrom beats the treacherous pulse of the Hamilton saga, a tale of love turned lethal, where trust is a currency more volatile than the stock market. Today, as the autumn leaves swirl like confetti from a shattered dream across the winding avenues of this elite Washington, D.C. suburb, we delve deep into one of the show's most pulse-pounding mysteries. Did Bill Hamilton, the silver-tongued criminal defense attorney whose charm conceals a viper's heart, ever summon a shadowy detective to unearth the dark secrets of his beguiling wife, Haley Lawson Hamilton? The question hangs in the air like the scent of impending rain, heavy with dread and intrigue. Viewers have been on the edge of their seats since the infamous birthday cake incident, that seemingly innocuous celebration that unraveled into a near catastrophe of poison and paranoia. Was Bill's suspicion ignited then, a flickering flame that grew into an inferno of doubt? Or has he been playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse all along, blind to the predator in his own bed? To unravel this enigma, we must first journey back through the labyrinthine corridors of Fairmont Crest's underbelly. Beyond the Gates, crafted by the masterful Michel Valjean, isn't merely a soap opera. It's a symphony of deception, where every glance, every whispered conversation, and every clink of champagne flutes could signal the prelude to doom. The Duprees, that multi-generational powerhouse of media moguls, philanthropists, and hidden kingpins, anchor the narrative, their sprawling estate a beacon of legacy amid the community's glittering facade. But it's the Hamiltons who inject the venom, turning familial bonds into barbed wire. Bill Hamilton, portrayed with brooding intensity by Timon Kyle Durrett, isn't just a man, he's a force of calculated chaos. Once married to the resilient Danny Dupree, Carla Mosley, a woman whose grace masks the scars of betrayal, Bill shattered their 30-year union by tumbling into the arms of Haley's paralegal, Haley Lawson, Marquita Goings, his own daughter Naomi's closest confidant. The scandal exploded like a grenade in the country club's tea room, leaving shrapnel in the form of shattered friendships and seething vendettas. Haley, with her porcelain skin, raven hair that cascades like midnight silk, and eyes that gleam with the promise of forbidden delights, entered Bill's orbit like a siren's song on a stormy sea. Orphaned young and adrift in a world that prized pedigree over pluck, she clawed her way into the Hamilton fold through sheer, unyielding determination. Danny herself had paved the path, recommending Haley for a position at Bill's prestigious law firm, a gesture of kindness that would one day curdle into bitter regret. What began as professional admiration blossomed into a torrid affair, hidden in the dim-lit corners of late-night depositions and stolen weekends in secluded Virginia vineyards. Bill, ever the opportunist, saw in Haley not just a lover, but a fresh start, a chance to shed the weight of his crumbling marriage and embrace a youth that whispered of reinvention. Their wedding, a lavish affair at the Fairmont Crest Country Club, was less a union and more a declaration of war. The Duprees were coerced into attendance by Bill's veiled threats, dredging up buried skeletons from the family's closet, whispers of, "where the bodies are buried," that sent chills through the assembled elite. But beneath the vows and the veiled barbs exchanged over foie gras hors d'oeuvres lurked a darker truth. Haley wasn't the wide-eyed ingenue she pretended to be. Far from it. As the layers of her facade peeled away in the show's riveting October episodes, audiences gasped at the revelation. Haley and her enigmatic cousin, Randy Parker, Maurice P. Carey, channeling a roguish charisma that could melt steel, were consummate con artists, a duo honed by years of fleecing the wealthy from the sun-baked streets of Los Angeles to the shadowed alleys of Atlanta. Haley had a ledger of broken hearts and emptied bank accounts, marriages dissolved like sugar and rain, husbands left penniless and bewildered. Bill was merely the grand finale, a mark too juicy to pass up. With his thriving practice, his $10 million life insurance policy, and his unshakable ego, he represented the ultimate score. "I've betted him for a year without breaking character," Haley hissed to Randy in a dimly lit booth at Uptown, Joey Armstrong's notorious gambling den, her voice a velvet blade. "I deserve an Oscar for that performance." The plot thickened, no, curdled, with the infamous birthday cake incident, a scene so taut with tension it could snap piano wire. It was Bill's milestone birthday, a night meant for toasts and tributes at the Hamilton estate, where crystal glasses chimed like fragile promises. Haley, playing the doting wife to perfection, had orchestrated a surprise, a towering confection of vanilla sponge layered with raspberry coulis, adorned with silver dragées that caught the chandelier light like distant stars. But hidden within those fluffy layers was a lethal secret, a slow-acting poison, procured by Randy from shadowy contacts in the underworld, designed to mimic the throes of a heart attack. A small dose, Randy had texted Haley earlier that day, his message a digital specter on her phone screen. Wait for the big one to hit him like a freight train. The plan was meticulous. Haley would administer the fatal dose during the cake cutting, ensuring Bill's collapse appeared as natural as the autumn fog rolling in from the Potomac. The payout? A fortune that would catapult her from grifter to goddess, free from the gilded cage of Fairmont Crest. Yet, fate, or perhaps the show's penchant for delicious twists, intervened. As the knife sliced through the cake, releasing a puff of powdered sugar like a sigh of innocence, Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne, Ariel Prepetit, Bill's eldest daughter and Haley's former best friend, leaned in for a celebratory bite. The morsel touched her lips, and in that heartbeat, the world tilted. Naomi's face contorted, not in agony, but in revulsion at the acrid, metallic tang that bloomed on her tongue. She spat it out, a glob of tainted frosting splattering the pristine tablecloth like an accusation. "What the hell is in this?" she demanded, her voice slicing through the murmurs like a scalpel. The room froze, Danny's eyes narrowing in maternal fury, Chelsea Hamilton, Ronnie Rose Montilla, the younger sister, clutching her glass in white-knuckled grip, and Bill himself, his lawyer's instincts flaring as he clocked the shift in the air. Haley recovered with serpentine grace, laughing it off as a baker's mishap, but the seed of suspicion had been sown. Bill's gaze lingered on her a fraction too long, a flicker of doubt etching lines into his chiseled features. In the feverish aftermath, as paramedics swarmed the estate and Naomi was rushed for precautionary tests, mercifully negative, Bill retreated to his study, a sanctum of leather-bound tomes and flickering laptop screens, where the ghosts of past cases whispered indictments. Alone with the weight of the evening, he replayed the moments, Haley's too-perfect smile as she presented the cake, the way her fingers trembled ever so slightly on the serving knife, the hurried glance she shot at her phone earlier that day. Paranoia, that old adversary from countless courtroom battles, coiled around his thoughts. Bill Hamilton wasn't a man accustomed to vulnerability, he thrived on control, on bending narratives to his will. But this felt like a narrative unraveling without his pen. Sleepless hours ticked by, the antique clock on the mantel tolling like a funeral dirge. By dawn, as the first light pierced the study's heavy drapes, Bill made the call, a hushed conversation to Keegan O'Malley, a grizzled private investigator with a scarred knuckles and a Rolodex of indiscretions, a fixer he'd employed in thornier divorce cases. "Keegan," Bill murmured into the receiver, his voice a gravelly whisper laced with urgency, "I need you to dig deep on Haley. Everything, her past, her connections, the works. Discreetly. No traces." Keegan, ever the professional, grunted assent, his fees steep but his results surgical. Thus began Bill's clandestine crusade, a shadow war waged from the safety of his fortified home. Keegan's initial reports trickled in like poison drops, Haley's fabricated backstory, the string of miscarriages that masked emptied trusts, and whispers of a cousin named Randy, or was it Sammy? Lurking on the periphery like a specter. Bill pored over the dossiers in the dead of night, his jaw clenched, the man who once dismantled alibis now questioning his own. But suspicion is a double-edged sword, and Bill's probes cut both ways. Unbeknownst to him, Haley was no novice to the game of espionage. Her time as a paralegal had schooled her in the arts of surveillance and subterfuge. She could spot a tail from 3 blocks away. When Bill's questions grew pointed, casual inquiries about her old family friends, over morning espresso, Haley deflected with the finesse of a matador, her laughter a silken veil over the steel beneath. Yet cracks formed. During a tense dinner at the country club, where the air hummed with the Dupree's barely veiled disdain, Bill confronted her gently. "That cake, Haley," the way Naomi reacted. "It wasn't just off taste, was it?" Haley's eyes widened in feigned hurt, tears glistening like diamonds on her lashes. "Bill, darling, you're letting stress twist you. After everything, the wedding, the threats from your ex's family, you're seeing ghosts." She reached for his hand, her touch electric, pulling him back from the brink. But in her purse, forgotten in the haste of the evening, lay a stray pill, a remnant of the poison vial, its casings glinting accusingly under the table lamp when Bill rifled through later that night. He found it then, that damning artifact, his fingers closing around it like a vice. Haley burst in moments later, her face a mask of outrage. "What are you doing? Snooping like some jealous schoolboy?" The argument erupted, words hurled like grenades, accusations flying in the confined space of their master suite. Bill held the pill aloft, his voice thunderous. "Explain this, Haley. Now." She lunged, trying to wrest it away, her nails raking his skin in a frenzy that blurred the line between passion and panic. "It's nothing. Vitamins, for my nerves, this place, your family, it's all so suffocating." But Bill's eyes, hardened by years of cross-examinations, saw through the lie. He pocketed the evidence, his mind racing to Keegan. Double down. Find Randy. Connect the dots. As Keegan delved deeper, the web tightened. Randy Parker emerged not as a peripheral figure, but the linchpin of Haley's empire of deceit. A chameleon in the underworld, Randy wore aliases like seasonal wardrobes, Sammy to the old marks, plain Randy to Joey Armstrong's crew at Uptown, where high rollers wagered souls alongside chips. Joey, the brooding mobster with a code as flexible as wet clay, and a tangled affair with Vanessa McBride that could fill its own novel, summoned Randy for a grilling after spotting his too cozy tete-a-tete with Haley. "What the hell are you doing with Hamilton's wife?" Joey growled, his cigar smoke curling like accusatory fingers. Randy, quick as a fox and twice as sly, flashed a wolfish grin. "What do you think, boss? We're ****ing. She's got fire that Bill's too buttoned up to handle." Joey blanched, warning of Bill's wrath, but Randy laughed it off. "Bill's heart? It's not breaking, it's stopping. Permanently." The text to Haley followed swiftly, another dose, another chance, the plan recalibrating like a predator's stalk. Meanwhile, the Fairmont Crest rumor mill churned at fever pitch. Danny, ever the lioness, caught wind of Haley's dalliances with Randy during a chance encounter at a charity gala. Vanessa McBride, in her quest for equality in Joey's shadowy world, spilling fragments of the puzzle over Rose. "That's Sammy," Danny hissed, her blood running cold as she pieced together the man who'd helped Haley through her dubious miscarriages. Vanessa corrected her airily. "Randy now, love. Names change faster than husbands here, but the seed lodged deep." Chelsea, visiting her mother under the guise of daughterly concern, stumbled upon signs of a robbery at Danny's home, drawers ransacked, not for jewels, but for documents, Haley's handiwork, scouting for leverage in the escalating divorce wars. The community buzzed, whispers in yoga studios, sidelong glances at brunch. Naomi, still shaken from her near poisoning, confronted Haley in a rain-lashed parking lot, the downpour mirroring the storm of their fractured friendship. "You were my sister," Naomi wept, "and now? You're poison." Haley's retort was ice. "Sisters share everything, Naomi. Even husbands." Bill's detective odyssey reached its zenith in the shadows of Uptown, where Keegan cornered Randy amid the haze of slot machines and desperation. A brawl ensued, fists flying, chairs splintering, Keegan's report bearing the bruises of truth, Randy and Haley, blood kin and criminal confederates, plotting Bill's demise for the insurance windfall. Bill absorbed the intel in his study, the walls closing in like a tomb. The man who'd once wielded ultimatums like weapons, forcing the Duprees to bless his nuptials under threat of exposure, now stared into the abyss of his own making. Haley, sensing the shift, doubled her seductions, candlelit baths scented with jasmine, whispered promises in the hollow of his ear. But doubt festered. "You're the only one who can save yourself now, Bill," a voice in his head echoed, perhaps his own, perhaps the ghost of Danny's warnings. No one grasped Haley's depths, the orphan's rage forged into a blade, the con woman's calculus that valued payout over pulse. Did Bill act on Keegan's revelations? The show, in its infinite tease, leaves us dangling. In a pulse-stopping cliffhanger from the October 21st episode, Bill drops one mystery, the tangled web around Andre Richardson's hasty marriage to Danny, only for another to rear its hydra head, Haley's new plan, a pivot from cake to cocktail, poison in his evening scotch. As he raises the glass, eyes locking with hers across the dinner table, the question burns, has he hired the detective to strike back, or will he drink deep of deception? The camera pulls back, the gates of Fairmont Crest looming like judgmental sentinels, as thunder cracks the sky. This saga transcends mere melodrama, it's a mirror to the fragility of trust in our gilded cages, where wealth insulates but never truly protects. Bill Hamilton, for all his flaws, the infidelity, the manipulations, the patriarchal bluster, evokes a tragic sympathy. Durrett imbues him with pathos, the furrowed brow of a man glimpsing his mortality, the hesitant touch of a husband craving absolution. Haley, too, is no cartoon villainess. Goings layers her with tragic fire, a woman scorched by abandonment, wielding love as a weapon because vulnerability once broke her. Randy adds comic menace, his quips a counterpoint to the encroaching doom. And the Duprees? They orbit like avenging angels, their legacy a bulwark against the Hamilton hurricane. As Beyond the Gates hurtles toward its mid-season inferno, one thing is clear, Bill's suspicions, born in the ruins of that cursed cake, have metastasized into a full-blown reckoning. Whether he unleashes Keegan's full arsenal, surveillance vans tailing Haley's midnight rendezvous, wiretaps capturing Randy's gloating calls, remains the fuse to this powder keg. Picture it, a sting operation in the club's steam room, where sweat mingles with secrets, a midnight raid on Uptown, Joey's empire crumbling under federal spotlights, Haley unmasked in a tear-streaked showdown, her empire of lies collapsing like the house of cards it always was. Or, darker still, Bill's hesitation, love's final betrayal, leading to a heart attack not feigned but fatal, his last breath a choked why? Viewers, the floor is yours. Do you believe Bill's paranoia peaked with that pilfered pill, prompting a detective's shadow to dog Haley's heels? Or is he still ensnared, a fly in her web, awaiting the spider's kiss? We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV soap news and spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.